What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Forward to Extraordinary, part of the Strictly from Nowhere podcast experiment. I'm your host, Justin Abrams, a serial entrepreneur in pursuit of wisdom with the goal of sharing it with all of you. And today is no different. You know, one of my curiosities, and I think a fascination of like modern consumer media, it really has to do with public relations. And today, the real hype is around owning your brand, owning your face, owning your conversation in the medium of podcasting. Podcasting happens to be something, I was super bullish about maybe 6 years ago. It took forever to try and find our way. It's one of those things where it's kind of just earned. I don't know if you could really put it in the category of like earned media, but maybe. And, I'm just fascinated by those of us that have really made a life, a business, a career out of public relations. And public relations is a big open book, lots of different avenues that you can travel down. But the one that I'm personally super fascinated by, no secret here, is really about podcasting and specifically the video medium of personal interviews and storytelling. And so I'm on the show today with kindred spirit, Steph Porter, founder of Ink&Iron. Welcome to this episode of Forward to Extraordinary. I can't wait to unpack your zero to market story.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
It's a pleasure. You're a bit of the superpower behind some recent guests that have been on the show. So I appreciate you very, very much. You certainly have contributed super meaningfully to the show already, but I had to get your story because we all have a story. We're all coming from somewhere, strictly from nowhere, but coming from somewhere.
Oh,
and so I'd love to unpack you, a little bit of your human experience and what makes you unique to get us started.
Well, can I just say, first of all, thank you for having me and for convincing me to come on, because this is, as any PR person, we are so used to being behind the scenes and like doing everything behind the scenes. Totally. And I'm everybody's sort of like champion and getting them out there. I call myself a commsager, like a manager, but I'm a commsager.
Sure.
So like I get so much joy in placing people in these really great sort of mediums like your podcast. So when you convinced me to come on, I was hesitant, but I'm like, you're a kindred spirit and I really like you. And I think that, you do such a great job and you make people feel comfortable. So kudos to doing such a great job there. But where do I even begin? I feel like back when I first decided I wanted to do PR, I was actually in college or university. I'm actually Canadian. So I'm from Toronto, Canada originally. And so we call it university. So I was in university and I was originally a theater major. I know, hard to believe, but not really. And I had done a performing arts. I was performing arts major and I went to performing arts high school. I was very much like I wanted to sing, act, dance. I played clarinet. I was in band. Like I was very much like the performing arts geek in school. And so I wanted to continue that into university. And so I did it for a year and I was like, nope, not for me. And I went and I spoke to, our like on campus sort of counselor and was like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, well, do you like to write? Do you like communications? I'm like, yeah, I do. I've always been really good in English. And she's like, well, you should try being a communications major and then do a PR post-grad. And I didn't really know what PR was at that time. This was like, we're millennials. This was years ago. So it was before really PR had a moment. I think at the time, the only person I knew in PR was Samantha Jones on Sex and the City. And I'm like,
that's a good person to know.
Yeah, that's not me. I'm not cool enough for that. So anyways, I went into communications and I never looked back. And actually I was communications, but I was a pop culture major. So popular culture. So I studied TV, I studied film, I studied any medium, which I think is very relevant to what I do now. And also like I'm obsessed with pop culture, everything pop culture, like I'm obsessed. So it was great. It was great for me and I did really well in it. And then I did my post-grad in public relations. And I went right into work. I've always been a worker. I mean, all through high school, I was working 3-4 jobs. And even in university, I was working, a number of jobs. And so when I graduated, I had like 3 jobs because when you're an entry level PR, you're making like nothing. nothing. So I moved downtown Toronto because I lived outside of Toronto. I moved downtown Toronto and I started working. My first job was I did PR for Rogers Centre, which is the stadium downtown Toronto, and did PR for the Blue Jays. And any event and concert that came through, I did PR for. And I got free tickets to everything. Like, it was the best. At that age,
the
it was
perk of the job.
It was great. And so I started there, and then from there I flipped back and forth between agency and corporate for the next 10 or so years. And then I always just really loved it. And I say this, I love PR so much that I would genuinely do it for free. If I didn't have bills to pay and a family to feed, I would do it for free. I love it so much. And I think that ultimately is what brought me here today. We moved out to Michigan about 3 years ago. I was working for a corporation out in Michigan. I did that for a couple of years. And I just felt like there was like an itch I needed to scratch. I was always doing freelance. I had, a year-long mat leave for my first kid back in Canada. So I was doing freelance then. And I just always felt like I could do it. Like, I was like, I need to just do my own thing. And I reached a fork in the road where, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, where it's like your why, where I was like, why am I working ultimately for the man? And that was an old saying, but like, why am I continuing to just grind and hustle for somebody else? I don't get the flexibility to spend time with my kids. I mean, I did. It was always very flexible, but not like now. I mean, I can volunteer at my kids' school. I can, if I need to take a day off because my kids are sick, I don't feel guilty. There's all these things. So I had reached this point last May, a year ago, almost a little over a year ago, where I was like, my daughter was having a hard time in daycare. She was starting kindergarten that year. And I was like, this is the time. We were financially stable, me and my husband. And I was like, I'm going to take some time off and just figure out what I want to do with no intention of starting my own business yet. And I took the time off. And during that time, I was like, I can't go back. I can't go back to corporate job. I can't. I need the flexibility. I can't fathom not spending time with my kids when they're young. And so I started getting into branding. I built my website. I built my brand. I figured out what I wanted to do. Obviously, all the technical things, like set up my LLC, and the rest is history. I haven't looked back. So yeah, that brings me to today, and I have great clients, people that I work with who I want to work with, and it's work that I really am passionate about, and I still do free work as well. So I do everything. I do pro bono, and I do obviously paid work too, but I love it so much that I'll do it day in and day out. It doesn't bother me. And to have the flexibility to be with family, like, you can't argue with that.
It reminds me of some wisdom that my dad told me that's probably taken from somebody else far wiser. And it really was, if you figure out what you love to do, you never work a day in your life.
Yep.
It's a little bit apropos, a little bit cliche,
Yeah.
but kind of seems true, right? Like the litmus test is, would I do this for free? Like, given your subsidies are covered, like you don't have to worry about income and like whatever else. Is this what you would choose to do with your time?
Totally.
It's really actually a pretty sound piece of wisdom for anybody that is thinking about, what do I do with my time? What do I do with my life? What do I do with my skills? Like, to find something that you're truly good at, truly passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And we often talk about on the show, like, the pursuit of opportunity is more valuable to the person than the pursuit of passion. Become passionate about the opportunities that present themselves to you. You're quintessential in this story, right? Like, had you not had the humility to walk into your guidance counselor's office in university and ask for some advice, that was just opportunity. You probably didn't know jack shit about going into PR. You were just like, okay, well, somebody smarter than me told me to go this way. I took that direction, and all of a sudden it led me to the promised land.
I had no idea. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And so it really plays into nicely. We talk about this all the time. It is be attuned, be acutely aware of opportunities as they present themselves to you, and figure out how to become passionate about that. Becoming passionate about something is really about the customer service experience. It's about how does it fill your cup? It's about what does that feedback loop look like? Am I getting something emotional from this experience, or is it just draining?
Yeah.
And so this is something important for people to hear, like, regardless of being an entrepreneur, regardless of whether you're going to work for the man, some people are just totally fueled by what they do. And it would be a full on leech situation, completely soul sucking and draining if they went on and did entrepreneurship, because the things that they're not passionate about, particularly the administrative stuff and worrying about where your next dollar is coming from, that's the stuff that really keeps people awake at night.
It's true. And, I always sort of had, even when I was on corporate, I remember a boss of mine who I've always been so lucky with having really great bosses. I've always had people who
Hey,
I
it takes
admire.
two to tango.
Okay, so maybe it's partially, no, I'm just kidding. Partially me. No, I've had, no, I feel like I've had really, really great people. And, one boss said to me, I was still sort of junior in my career. I was probably like 5 or 6 years in. And she was like, you will never be satisfied. You are somebody who will never be satisfied, because I was constantly being like, okay, what's next? What can I do to get to the next level? What's next? How can we do something bigger and better? And so she said that to me, and I don't know if she said it as a negative thing. I think she just said it as just we were chatting. I was having a review of some sort. And she said it. And at the time it bothered me. But now that I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, no shit. Of course, I'm constantly, even in jobs that I work, if I'm on a corporate team, I'm constantly thinking about work and constantly thinking about how the brand can be better, how I can do better, or what can we do differently? Like, it does not stop. It does not stop. And so I feel like this is just a natural progression for me. Like, it's just natural. Why not be obsessed with things that I can control at the end of the day? So I think it's all meant to be. I look back and I'm like, this is not surprising where I'm at now. It's not surprising at all.
I call this dopamine curious. Those of us that are just like, I too, I'm never satisfied. You could ask my wife, you could ask my business partner. Like, I'm never satisfied, not because I'm not happy with the work that I've done. I'm in pursuit of mastery, which is like some arbitrary goal, end zone. Like, who tells me I'm a master? Like, where is Mr. Miyagi at the end of the road telling me, Justin, you've achieved, you're good.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. So anybody that really does give a shit about what they do, what they produce, what they say in the world, how they conduct themselves, whatever that pursuit of mastery looks like.
Yeah.
I'm never satisfied. I always look back to work that I did last year and I'm like, damn, that was pretty cringy. I could have done that better. But here we are a year later, continue to double down, doing better.
Ditto. Right? But I actually, and sometimes I know I would sleep better at night. Sometimes if I wasn't so crazy about everything and just overthinking everything and just constantly want to be better. But at the same time, I'm like, this is what I want my kids to be. Like, I want my kids to always want to be better. I want them to always be reaching for the next best thing. I never want them to settle. And I also never want them to think that they're too old for something, or age is a barrier, or anything is a barrier. I don't want them to ever think that. So I don't know. I feel like it's annoying. I'm annoying for a lot of people, I'm sure, but
fuck them.
Yeah. I think it's all good at the end of the day. Like, I feel, I always say I'm not the smartest person in the room. I know that. I don't have a Harvard degree. I don't have, I know my strengths. I know what I'm decent at. But I will say I am an exceptionally hard worker. I'm passionate. Those are things that I feel like you can't teach. And especially now, like, I'm also a professor, so I teach on the side too. And I mean, I love my students. They are all tenacious in their own way. But it's different now than it was. It's different. Like, that generation and below is just different. And I think, a lot of us and the people older than us have done them a disservice, and they just don't have that same fire. Like, there's a lack of fire. Some people I see it, but a lot of people I don't. And I'm like, if only I could instill just like some of the fire that I have into these students, I've done my job.
You
I
know,
have done.
the evolution is probably a really good topic, and I'd love your perspective over your domain expertise. We were talking a little bit before the show even got started. Um, I'm a big student of Gary Vaynerchuk. Talk about like realizing that you're in the first inning of life when you're still 37 years old. Like that's pretty heavy. Like I'll still be working for the next 40 years, even if I get it
I
really
know.
right. You know, like
I
that's pretty heavy, dude. I'll be working for longer than I've been alive. Like to just realize that there is kind of endless time. Eventually it does end. But what I
Yeah.
really like, and I'm a big student, I read between the lines of his ferocious content engine. And it really has to do with like the reality check of where we're all at right now, especially those of us that are in content creation and media
Totally.
and distribution and owning your audience and et cetera, et cetera. And he's really kind of talking about, I just saw it on LinkedIn today. It's why we're bringing him up. Um, it really has to do with like the end of the era of social media. And
Yeah.
the original thesis of social media was to like make new friends, stay in touch with your old ones, stay in touch with family, like grow your immediate personal network. And that thesis seems to have died substantially. And now what it is, same platforms, same user experience, but the algorithm is serving us in a different way, which really has to do with interest media or
Hmm.
intention media. And what it
Yeah.
really has to do with is like, what are the conversations that you're having in the real world? What are the things you're searching for? What are your interactions? Where are you spending time on social media, actually engaging with your eyeballs, which is just a test, an analytics test of how much time do you spend on a particular post. The algorithm is learning about you and serving you things that may be relevant to you, where you're most likely to engage, like, share, buy, promote, whatever the scenario might be. It's no
Yep.
longer really about this like social equity. And so I'm really kind of interested currently in like the evolution of media in general. And
Yeah.
so it's funny that you bring up Sex in the City and like Samantha Jones is the
Yes.
original PR agent, and like who do you call in a crisis? And like those people still fully exist, but there's this new age
Different.
of public relations, and it's more
Mhm.
personal relations than it is
It
real
is.
public relations. And so I'd love your perspective as a domain expert right now.
Yeah.
What have you seen over your career, and what is
Yeah.
happening in real time? We're basically slaves to the algorithm right now. So
We are.
where's your wisdom for all of this right
We
now?
are. We are. Well, I know when I started, obviously mass media was what we were trying to secure. So you're sending out press releases, you're trying to get broadcast, you're getting newspapers, magazines, which half of those, I mean, don't even exist anymore.
Totally.
Crazy.
Sure. Right.
So, and then as time went on, more social media was added, right? And it was more like obviously photos, and then it's morphed into video, like video is king. Now it's like or before it was snackable content, like snackable content is king. Now we're getting into more long form content again. And so when I look at a strategy or I look at what the best placements for a client is, obviously I'm going to look at specific demographics and where are those people going what media are they consuming. Um, but it's also about securing outlets that are super intentional, and a lot of them aren't necessarily mass outlets anymore. It's more about like the new age media. So the Substacks, the podcast, the certain LinkedIn newsletters. And part of it is the people that it reaches, but part of it is the content piece. So for example, you place someone on your podcast, for example. I'm going to give your secrets away. I hope that's okay.
Please
But
do.
what you do, which is so phenomenal, is this person comes on your podcast, and at the end you have a great interview, which that in itself is a piece of content. But you go two steps further and you clip certain, I forget what you call them,
Key
like
moments.
key moments, highlights from your interview that you're like, "Ooh, this would be good on for them to share on social." And you package it up with a nice little bow and you send it to them or me, and you say like, "Here's all the content. Do with it what you will. This is if you want to tag me, great. Perfect." That gives that person or brand content that they can then share and put out and boost and do whatever. So I think, and this has always been pretty prevalent throughout my whole career, is like the COPE method. You create once, publish everywhere. You need to have this content that you can just push out everywhere on your own channels. You can share it to earned channels. You can share it to your shared network, and you're paid because now ultimately on social media, if you want to break through the algorithm, you got to boost and pay.
You got to boost.
It's sad, but it's true. But ultimately, you really need to look at media placements as intentional placements that then you can push out through other channels. And that's ultimately what I look for. And your SEO too, right? Like anytime somebody is on a podcast and somebody searches their name, it helps.
Totally.
It helps their SEO. And then you take it to the next level of GEO with AI. Like, how are people showing up when people search them through Claude or ChatGPT? So like, those are all things that you have to think about. It's not just like, let's send this press release out, and if we get all this earned coverage, great. No, it's about, obviously that still exists and we still do that, but it's also being very intentional with where you place your messaging, and so that you can then use that content in other ways.
You know, the evolution of all of this is actually pretty interesting, because what did syndication look like in the 50s?
Yeah.
Like you'd get an ad man on Madison Avenue. They'd create you like a one-time killer full spread in some newspaper or magazine. There's no control over who opens it. There's no control over who actually attributes to it. There's no syndication. It's not like I publish here and I'm going to be anywhere else. You have to, the old school way was, I got to have 50 different contacts at 50 different states, 50 different publications.
Yep.
And hopefully they all align and you have like mass distribution. Where else today, and what other medium today outside of like kind of video called generative video or interview style, or even like just brand video syndication, like outside of video, where does syndication actually even happen?
Well, press releases still get syndicated.
And so that's cool. But like me, I can like repost that press release. That's cool. That happens once, but I can't like chop that. I can't, there's no real key moment. I could like highlight a little thing as if I was in, a Lifetime documentary.
No. And so I think that's why I think podcasts, and I told you this before, we talked about this before, I am obsessed with podcasts. Like I will, because I think it's still so new still, even though it's not. I just don't think enough people know about it and how to monetize it, how to like, it's so hard to even find podcasts. I mean, I have certain programs that I use. I'm not going to give those away, but you'll have to email me. If you see this, email me and I'll get them to you. Everybody who's watching. But you can use programs and they're helpful, but even then they're not as sophisticated as you would think that they would be yet. So I think that there's still this, there's a lot of questions around podcasts. And I think people feel nervous to do podcasts because it's long form. You're speaking for a long period of time. There's a lot less control. Big, that's a big one. So I think a lot of PR people and, executives and entrepreneurs, founders are nervous about it. So, but I think it's something that people should be taking advantage of, because you're just getting so much great content. You essentially get to share your story with someone without it comes across a little bit more modest. And yeah, I think it's great. And all of the clients that I've placed on podcasts are so happy with it.
What's interesting is I remember having to go through like formal PR training anytime I was in like some type of a leadership role, working for like a competitive brand, a brand that has like lots of saturation of competition, especially in technology spaces.
Yeah.
In order for me to like take the stage at a conference or use social media or like take a client out, I had to like go through like actual PR training, the do's and don'ts, what to say, how to carry yourself. You're representing the brand when you're on the damn toilet. Like I wonder, like, that has to still exist. Of course, that
It does.
still
Oh,
exists. It's still super
totally.
important. But what does it look
Totally.
like for you and your clients? Like, how are you coaching folks that have like never been on podcasts? They've never owned their conversation in long form. They just like are worried about sharing the story and stepping in shit and just like misrepresenting themselves. Like, what's a little bit of the secret sauce about of you as a customer service person? Like, you're literally building people and their reputation. How do you structure that education for them?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've done a lot of media training on both the corporate side, agency side. Like, I've done a lot of media training. And the media training that I think works the best is when you go in and you have a conversation with someone and you don't talk about the interview, but you say, tell me, like, you ask them very specific questions about themselves, about, like, tell me what makes you excited? What are you passionate about? What are things that like get you really excited? And so we talk about that. And I say, okay, bring that same attitude. I know it's harder. It's easier said than done. Bring that same attitude to this interview and be and talk about it as authentically as you are talking about this like TV show or book that you love. You know, again, I always infuse pop culture because I always feel that that's such good um icebreakers. Um so yeah, I would say it's always important to prepare people, but at the end of the day, they are their own people. Like, I mean, you've chatted with some of the people I work with. They're very authentic to
Yeah,
themselves. They
totally.
are very, they are who they are. And this PR person is not going to change how they are. You know, there's little things that I can say, like maybe we can say this a little bit differently, or maybe we can do this, and like maybe let's not talk about this. But at the end of the day, they are who they are, and I'm not going to change them because that's inauthentic to their brand. So I would say just really trying to figure those people out and understanding what makes them tick, what makes them passionate, what makes them happy, and really taking that energy and putting it into whatever they're going to talk about in the interview. Like there's been some interviews that I've coached people through that are like so just not boring, but dry.
Yeah, stiff.
And I'm like, you got to talk about it. It's something you have to talk about. So let's take the energy about, that we've gotten from here and let's put it into your key messaging here. And so I think that's very helpful. That's worked for me anyways.
Humanizing it, like realizing that we're just two people having a conversation. I have no control over how many actual real people are going to take a look at this episode. And like,
Right.
that might be important to some people, but to me, this is really about having a real human level conversation.
Right.
And, I posted on social media something superhuman, something like super emotional for me. And I kind of just use social these days as a bit of a diary. There's so
I
much
love it.
content coming out of Cousin Justin. And
Oh,
like, it's just
I love that
whatever
for you.
comes from my heart on that day, could be 30 times a day.
I
I
love
just
it for
speak.
you. Yep.
And,
Use something of that. Yep.
yeah, and you sent me an email the other day and you were like, "Hey, I want to humanize our conversation. I want to make it a little bit different from the types of generic conversations that we have." I say generic because I definitely have a structure to the
You
show,
do. Yep.
you know,
Framework.
a
Yep.
framework. Exactly right.
Framework.
So
Yep.
we're going to go off the rails a little bit together right now.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's going to work
Yeah.
out wonderfully. But for
Yeah.
anybody
Let's
that's
go on.
like really held on for this long, we're like 25 minutes into the
We owe
episode.
you one.
We're
Yeah.
gonna make a left right now. We're gonna take a left. And it's something that I'm probably like, let's use this as a pilot. It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
The curiosity's got to be somewhere. And I
Yep.
think if it goes well, which I assume it will, this will be something that I start to include
Yeah.
in future episodes. And it really has to do with your why. You alluded
Yep.
to it a little bit earlier. And,
Yep.
there's a series of events. It could be no good, very bad days. It could be achievement based. It could be, I have curiosity and I don't want to die without being an entrepreneur type of a thing. Like there are many reasons why people go down the path of entrepreneurship, of being a business owner, of trying to become a founder, whatever.
Yep.
And so, I would love to know a little bit about your why. Like what we know kind of the story about how your career has transformed into entrepreneurship and how passionate you are about this medium that you've built a business in. But
Yeah.
there's an impetus, and it really is
Yeah.
not like I'll just call bullshit on it. It is not so that we can get more time with our kids. Like, I have plenty of goddamn time with my kids. Like, come on, right?
Ask me that after 5 full days with
Yeah.
them after the last week. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like,
we're good. I have
but
plenty of
bring me
time with
back
my
to
kids.
work.
They're like 20 feet outside that door. It's all good.
I do.
Like all
Like
good.
crazy.
I'm available, modern dad, like fully hands-on. I changed 2 duty
Yeah,
diapers this morning. Like, we're all good.
yeah,
But
yes,
there actually is like an emotional reason why.
yeah,
For me, I'll tell you my story quickly, and then I would love to hear about yours. My
yeah.
story, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I've done stuff entrepreneurial for my entire life. Good, degenerate, like all sorts of stuff that I could itemize for days. I got my master's in business on the streets, like for real. And so I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I come from like multiple generations of entrepreneurship, especially on my mom's side. The female side of my lineage is all entrepreneurial as far back as the family tree goes. I always knew it was like in my bones.
Mhm.
But I never knew what it was going to be for. I never knew when it was going to be. It was always like, okay, well, if you don't know, the only logical thing to do is go to work, get some skills, learn a little bit about how the real world works, try to become formidable. And if the opportunity presents itself to you, go for it. And so mine was really about like the right combination of things that happened in my life, the right type of personal pain that just happened. And so that combination of things combined with my business partner saying, yeah, the same shit's happening to me. Now's a great time. Kind of in the back of COVID. We
Yeah,
had ample time to burn the candle at both ends. I was running this business for 10 years, overlapping for about 5 years with my professional career, moonlighting this business. The opportunity just presented itself. But really, what did it have to do with? At the same time that I was actually going all in on this business is the first time that my wife miscarried. And I don't know if that was necessarily on my mind as like, life is super fragile. Like, you better grab it and go for it. Like, I don't, now that wisdom is certainly available to me, but like in the moment, it was just like this massive wave of emotional turmoil, of good things happening that are emotionally just like, whoa, like I didn't expect all that to be happening. Like coming right out of President's Club, like smash year the year before, traveled over 200 days in 2019, biggest brands in the world, had the craziest career highlight moment of being in freaking Mexico, getting celebrated for President's Club. Then
that's
COVID hits. I start my IVF journey, get punched in the face with all that. Same time I adopt the dog. Like, life
yeah,
is good. The mortgage is coming. I got a great rate with the refinance, 2.85% and holding strong. Like, dude, like this crazy, just like good and bad
yeah,
stuff happening all the time. It splits your differential. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, shit, I'm going to become an
yeah,
entrepreneur. I'm going to take out a $500,000 business loan and put the pain on overdrive.
yeah.
And so for me, it was just like, was I as crazy then as I am now? I think I'm crazier now because the risk
Because,
that I take now
yep,
is now compounded. Now I have babies. I got 6 miscarries under my belt. Like, just amplify this scenario, just turn it up a bunch of decibels, and boom, you get cousin Justin in the raw form that you see right now on the screen, and it's just getting realer and realer every day from here. And
it's
so I'm
so
sorry to give you my front loaded story. No
No, I
pressure, but I'd
appreciate
love to hear
you.
yours.
No, I appreciate you sharing that because adversity, you're always told that adversity makes you stronger and it makes you a better person and it makes you better professionally and personally. And uh, I'm so sorry for all that you went through because
Thanks.
nobody talks about it enough, especially professionals, like people in, just everyday life trying to work, trying to better themselves while having to deal with personal issues and especially in your 20s, 30s, like you're getting married, you're going through all of these things. Like it's okay not to be okay. And so I think for me, I was always the person who was like happy and everything was perfect and nothing ever bothered me and I felt like I really didn't have any adversity in my life for a very long time. And then I got married and we had our first daughter very easily. It was like, pretty much like one and done.
Textbook.
Like
Yeah,
it was like textbook. And she was perfect. And I had a year off with her and it was fantastic. And again, like and even through COVID, I felt like I had a pretty good, like, I was good. I was good. Mentally, I was good. And I was working at a really good job. I was working as a director at an agency. Walmart was my client. I loved them. Everything was, the stars were aligned. And then my husband and I were like, okay, time to have another kid. Because, our daughter is turning 2 and that's just what you do, right? That's what
Buttons
you
for
do.
punishment.
Yeah, right. And so I got pregnant again, really pretty easily. And I was still working at this job as a director. It was a pretty busy job, but they were so good to me. And, you put out what you get in, and it was just a really great working relationship. And we were thinking about moving to the US at the time. So we were sort of like building all of that sort of stuff at the same time. And, about 5 months into my pregnancy, I was pregnant with a son. And about 5 months in, we were visiting our friends for the weekend. We went to their cottage, our best friends out in Michigan. We were in Michigan, so we weren't even home. Like we were away. And the whole weekend, I just felt off. Like I was like, there's just something off. I was in bed the whole weekend. I was in bed the whole weekend. And then we were on our way back on the Monday. And I was like, you gotta pull over to my husband. My daughter was in the back. I'm like, you gotta pull over. Like, something doesn't feel right. And so the Target, actually, that's like right around the corner from our house still. I go into this Target all the time. I don't know how I still go into this, but anyways, I go into the Target and my water breaks. I'm 21 weeks pregnant. And so I'm like, we go to the hospital. Fast forward, we were in the hospital for about a week. And ultimately, because my water broke and there was nothing they could do, they had to perform an emergency C-section. And because our baby was so young, there was no hope for our baby. So he was born and survived about 3 hours and then, unfortunately passed away. So that was that. And I felt like after that, that really changed both me from like a just a person. Like I think I totally just like went cruise control. Same with my husband. And every time after that, I mean, I had multiple miscarriages after that. I could not get pregnant. I could get pregnant. I could not hold my pregnancy. And I remember there was another time I was away for work and I actually had my miscarriage when I was away for work. Having to deal with that when you're, trying to work and like be a human, I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And so I feel like uh, it really puts things into perspective and it really puts your own health in perspective. It puts what's important in perspective. And like fast forward, we have a son who's turning 2 next month. So it happened and and it was stressful, but it happened. But I think that, your mentality changes a lot and it makes you for now, like now, even like you said it too, like the risk, I'm sort of like, I'm good to take that risk now. I'm good because I feel like I've experienced so much grief and anguish and just shit that people shouldn't have to experience. I know so many people do, and it's not okay, and more people should talk about it. But the positive of it all is it makes you want to take those risks and it makes you want to be better for your kids and it makes you want to do things for you because you have one life. You have one life. And if you're not doing things that make you happy and doing things that make you want to spend more time with your kids, I know it's like, do we really? But yes, we do. And flexibility and all these things for me, that is important. That put everything into perspective. And it took longer than what I think I would have wanted, like from when it happened, years back to now. But I think everything happens for a reason. And I am here. I am who I am, and I'm here now because of everything that I went through. So
Same. And I think like the point of really thinking about what your reason behind your pursuits are. I'm choosing my words pretty carefully here. Like
Yeah,
whatever your reason why is, whoever is listening to this, like that is such a superpower that's truly unique to you. You could have like motivational reasons, like yeah, I want the freedom to earn unlimited potential.
totally.
I want to run my own show. I don't want to answer to a boss. Like whatever kind of superficial reasons you have are good motivating factors. All of those things tend to be true. Sidebar: if you're your own entrepreneur, you have 50 different bosses in the form of customers, clients, employees,
Truly.
whatever. Like you're never
Yeah.
free.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Newsflash. Anybody who, yeah, you do have bosses. Yes.
yes, of course.
Yes.
But whatever really, like if you're just sitting quietly in your car, just thinking deeply in your own head about what your actual reason behind your pursuit is, it's probably deeply unique, deeply
Yeah.
personal.
Yep.
It's not about the superficial. It's not about the money. It's not about
No.
status. If it
No.
is, I caution you, there's plenty of other smart people that are out there. Choose anybody off the Shark Tank panel that'll tell you
Totally.
the superficial reasons are not the reason why. But
It's totally.
our motivating factors internally are actually your unique superpower. And if you can figure out how to unlock that and humanize yourself and make deep connection on these types of
Yep.
topics, it's very
Yep.
vulnerable, but
Yep.
super powerful.
Yeah. And that's why so I said to you earlier, that's why I think it's so important that you do that you share that on social media and you, yeah, treat it as a diary, treat it as, because so many people will see that and relate to you. Like you got to, like LinkedIn is full of AI swap garbage that I don't even want to go on that anymore. But it's like types of posts that you share are the reasons why I still am there, is because I see things like that. And when I see people who have also experienced hardship, I I just have so much sympathy and so much appreciation and so much respect. And, it's good for business too. Like,
Totally, sure.
I've always been told that I'm too personal with people. Too personal. You're too personal, Steph. You're too personal. I highly disagree with that. I think it is so important to understand people and like what makes them tick and what are their tragedies? What have they gone through if they're comfortable sharing it? Like I think that makes a human. It makes a human, and every human is different. And it takes a lot of courage to share this stuff. So kudos to you. But it makes people better, and I wish more people would. I really do.
What ends up happening to me, um, it's so gratifying. Like, forget the fact that the algorithm just like drools over that type of content. Like, forget that. That's like an
Yeah,
actual inside of the whole thing. Because
yeah,
that's not the point. That's like not
yeah.
why I'm doing it. But you
No.
can't imagine, like maybe you can, but you can't imagine how many men show up in my DM thanking me for being brave. Which I don't really like. I don't really get it. That's not really the motivation behind me sharing my story. It's more like the cathartic exercise of like writing it down, getting it off of my mind so I can get back to what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
But the amount of people that come to me directly, share their story of vulnerability in confidence, like not posting it in the comments or anything like that. They're not like resharing it and adding their 2 cents. They're coming
no,
to me directly. They don't know I have a show. They don't know who Cousin Justin is. They're just like, dude, thanks for sharing that. I've been through something similar, and you've given me courage to like even think about this topic, let alone post on it on social media. Most people just hold so much space for themselves. They like lock that shit away. And for me, I'm just like, dude, like itemize the superpowers. What makes you unique? Like I could pull on anything on any random day that gives me the motivation to do the hard thing.
yeah,
And so I just hope that like by me being slightly vulnerable and authentic and like really just telling my own personal unique take on the story, that others just are able to look themselves in the eye in their own mirror. Just like reflection of your own story. We've all been through like really hard things and either own it or it ends up owning you.
totally,
And so I want to lighten
totally.
it up a little bit because it's just the way I am. I like to
Yeah,
get back to it over here. Have you ever seen the series Silicon Valley? If you
no,
haven't, it's okay. As
I
a portion
haven't.
of Silicon Valley on, I believe it's HBO,
Yeah,
hilarious multi-season show. It's like
yeah,
it's a satire comedy around like building a tech startup in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
And like all the shit that these young guys have to go through to try and live in the world and survive and build something valuable and not get ripped off by like the largest enterprises in the world and like whatever. And there's this episode where there's this venture capitalist. Her name is Raviga. She's basically a freaking robot, like just totally stoic robot, zero personality, zero emotion, 100% financial guru. She's like the lady that you want on your side, but if she's on the other side of the table,
Right.
you got to run shark.
Yeah.
And like portion of the series, I don't know if it was in real life or not, but a portion of this season, she's pregnant.
Oh.
And never talks about it, doesn't really show it, just like nobody really even knows. And then as she's approaching her due date, she just shows up in the office on the due date, not pregnant. And this comedic reaction, which is like the workplace is that toxic. Like you had your baby this morning and you're back at work with your high heels on, cutting deals.
Right.
And it's comedic relief because it's kind of a far cry from like what actually happens, but the pressure for people to do that. Like, dude, I have a note to my son. I'll literally show you because it's timely. And the pressure of having to do this is kind of wild. It's self-inflicted gunshot wound type thing. Where is it? Give me a second. I want to actually find it because it's relevant. I keep notes to my kids. These are all notes that they'll open in the future.
Oh, that's cute.
So on the day my son is born, while my wife is sitting in the recovery room, I have my kid, my not even 5-hour-old son in my arms. I was working and closed a deal. I closed the deal and wrote him a note. I closed Peak for $30,000. I made like 30 grand on the day that my kid was born.
My good luck charm.
It's kind of rad, but the reason why I say that is because like, dude, like an entrepreneur, you never turn off, you never sleep. You don't like that episode of Raviga giving birth and then showing back up in the office to make a multi-million-dollar deal that day. Like the comedic relief of that is there, but the reality of the life of an entrepreneur is I never sleep. I do, but like you never turn off. I'm always on. I literally am my own walking billboard. It's up to me to take every call, close every deal, solve every problem. Like the pain of doing this is not an easier path. That's not why. No. But the reasons why, like the fact that like my little kid is my actual good luck charm. And every time I win a deal, it's because he gave me a high five in the morning. Well, now that's created a ritual for us. You know, and so like he gives me a double knuckles high five, big hug, and a kiss. That's like the whole jam every morning before I go out to work. And so this is all really to just like humanize the tough stuff, man. Like this is not the easier route. This is the route that me and my partner talk about all the time. Like if it wasn't for the two of us, we probably would have individually quit a long time ago because like on my worst day, he's all right. On his worst day, I'm okay.
You have someone that you can,
I have to at least somebody to like keep me in check and like, okay, take a breather. You'll be fine tomorrow.
You're spinning.
But this shit is real, man. And there are real people behind this and real stuff happening in our personal lives and the stuff that like this journey is really all about. You know, business is cool and like that's all fun, but like the actual reason why keeps us showing up tomorrow.
It does.
And so I appreciate your vulnerability.
Yes. And I thank you, and yours too. And I think that the more that we can appreciate people and be vulnerable with people and just always assume good intent too. Like I feel everybody has something going on in their lives, especially these days. And I feel like you just need to give people a break, be empathetic, do all the things and be human at the end of the day. Yeah.
Over-index on kindness.
Exactly.
Over-index on kindness.
Exactly.
Well, Steph, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for bobbing and weaving and trying something a little fresh and different with me on the show. Your reason why is incredibly valuable and certainly personal to me too. I appreciate your vulnerability and I wish you and Ink&Iron and everything else you touch forward to extraordinary.